Today I'm going to be analysing Sonnet 130 by Shakespeare. So to start off with, what is Shakespeare speaking about in this poem? He is speaking of the unrealistic ways in which men used to describe their lovers. Many sonnets were written where poets described their partner's features in extremely exaggerated, false ways. So for example, they wouldn't just say she had blue eyes or pink lips, but ocean blue eyes that twinkled like the stars in the sky, or lips as red as cherries. What beauty standards are evident in this poem? It is the Elizabethan beauty standards because this poem was written in the Elizabethan era, although he is not supporting them, rather challenging them, and emphasizing how unrealistic they were. Also, some of you may not even recognize these beauty standards, or you may be thinking, well, why are these poets writing poems about women who look like this? Because that is not what we consider the beauty standard anymore. Some of these things may be seen as offensive if you described a woman with very pale skin, because now we all want to be tan, but back then it was seen as beautiful and elegant to be very, very pale. What type of sonnet is this? It's an anti-blazon. First of all, a blazon is a poetic device where one will describe a woman's body part. These body parts are compared to aspects of the natural world, such as teeth being compared to pearls and blonde hair to gold. This poem is anti-blazon, where the speaker describes each part of a woman's body but saying that she does not have teeth that look like pearls or eyes like stars, for example. He is making fun of blazons and their over-the-top descriptions by doing a similar thing but with the opposite intention. So instead of comparing her to all of these beautiful things in the world, he's explicitly saying that she is not these things. What figures of speech does he use to get his message across? He uses negative, metaphors, and similes. I'm telling you this now so that you make sure to pay special attention to the examples used throughout the poem, where the similes and metaphors are used in an opposite manner to what they are normally intended and used for. What is satire and how is it used in this poem? Satire is when humor is used to expose and criticize people's stupidity. In this case, the speaker is using satire to make fun of these poets and how stupid they are to say such unrealistic things about their lovers, because all of their expectations and descriptions are over the top and never true in reality. What is the rhyme scheme in this poem? It is A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. So every second line throughout the stanzas rhymes, and then the rhyming couplet rhymes. What is the structure of this poem? It is a classic Shakespeare sonnet, so they all follow the same structure, which has been 14 lines long, 3 quatrains, a rhyming couplet, there's a volta or a turn in the rhyming couplet, and iambic pentameter, which mirrors everyday speech patterns and is when you have 10 syllables on a line. It also alternates between stressed and unstressed symbols. Okay, now we are going to head on to the analysis, but I just wanted to let you know I made a video with more in-depth questions and answers. So once you have a good understanding of the poem, please head on over there and watch that video. Now we're going to read and analyze the poem. The speaker says, "My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun." First, we need to pay attention to the word mistress, as this doesn't mean he is being unfaithful to his wife. It just refers to his lover. Remember that this poem was written in a different era, so some words don't have the exact same meaning as they do now. Nothing like the sun is a negative simile. He is saying that her eyes are not as bright as the sun, or they don't shine like the sun. So when he says this, it sounds quite offensive. If your lover said this to you, you'd be quite offended, in my opinion. But he is just meaning that they look like normal eyes, like everybody else's eyes. He is not necessarily saying that they are ugly or anything like that, but it sounds ugly just because of the standard that these other poets have written about, and the ways that these other poets have described their lovers. Coral is far more red than her lips red. This is a metaphor describing her lips as pale and light-colored, not the dark, rich red that is considered beautiful, or was considered beautiful then. This is very effective because coral isn't even that red. It's more like a pinky orangey color. So by saying her lips don't even compare to coral, it is really emphasizing the fact that they have almost zero color to them. They just look like her skin color, which again is completely normal. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun? If snow be white is an attribute which is a quality or feature regarded as an inherent part of someone or something. White is a quality that is regarded as an inherent part of snow. We know this because when anybody says that thing is the color of snow, we know that they are meaning it is a very clear white color. So it is saying that if snow is white and all these poets describe their lovers as having the snow white skin, why are his lover's breasts a greyish brown color? The word dun means greyish brown, and when he says breasts, he is just referring to her skin color in general, so the skin all over her body, not just that specific area. A question to think about here is, why did they like pale skin so much? Obviously now there is a movement to be tan or just to embrace your skin color, whatever it may be. The pale skin isn't necessarily the beauty standard now. But back then it wasn't necessarily about how it looked. It was more so about their social class, as the wealthy wouldn't have to work outside, therefore they would be able to keep that pale skin color and not become tanned. If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. This is a metaphor comparing her hair to wires, implying that it is hard and rough, not soft and luscious. A damask is a fabric with patterns woven into it. So when he refers to the roses here, he is saying that he has seen roses with a red and white pattern on them. But then he says he doesn't see these colors or patterns on her cheeks. This coloring would present an image of good health or feminism, because normally that blush color is accomplished by using makeup. So the speaker uses a metaphor here where he's saying that his lover's cheeks are not like these roses, indicating she doesn't have this rosy blush color that is so admired, either because she has tan skin or darker skin, as we've mentioned previously, or just because she doesn't like to wear makeup and that he has seen her naturally without makeup on. And most of the time, you don't have this rosy tinge to your cheeks if you're not wearing makeup. Then he says, and in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. A negative simile is used here, comparing her breath to perfume. It is saying perfumes smell much better than her breath. Although this sounds shockingly offensive, and anybody would be offended to be described like this, it is also a fact that most people's breath does not smell better than perfume. So it's actually not as offensive as it sounds. It just sounds offensive because all of these poets have described their lover's breath as smelling like flowers or roses, and therefore our expectations are not actually a reality. So you're going to be disappointed no matter what your breath actually smells like, because it's never going to match this unrealistic expectation that has been set. The word reeks here is not trying to say that her breath smells bad, and it doesn't have the negative connotations that we associate it with. Remember that this poem was written in a very different time, so as with the word mistress, reeks has a different meaning now than it did then. If you had to say something reeks now, it would mean that it has a very bad smell and it stinks. But back then, it simply implied that just there was some sort of a smell, neither good or bad. Then the speaker states that although he loves to listen to his lover speak and her voice, music is much nicer. And I'm sure that all of us in our own personal lives can admit the same thing. We love to listen to our friends and family and our lovers speak, but music does sound better. And it's important to pay attention to the fact that he uses the word love here when he could have just said he likes to hear her speak. Because throughout the poem up until now, he hasn't really shown that much affection for his lover, in my opinion. I haven't seen that much love from his side. So the fact that he uses love here when he could have just said like is quite sweet. So we know that he really does love to listen to her speak. But then he keeps to the original tone of the poem by being realistic about her voice and the fact that music does sound better. So Again, he makes sure not to over-compliment her like other poets have done. And he's been very realistic and true about what he thinks about her. Then he says, I grant I never saw a goddess go. This indicates that he doesn't see his lover as a goddess, like so many of these poets have described their lovers. And he says, my mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. So some poets describe their lovers almost to be angel-like, almost floating to get about, and describing them walking as very graceful. But the speaker indicates that his lover does not walk this gracefully, indicated by the words tread and ground. These words emphasize that she does make a sound when she walks. It is not that graceful, and she definitely walks on the ground. She doesn't seem to just float about like some of these other women are described to do so. All this is emphasizing that she is just a normal, real person. Now we have the rhyming couplet at the end of the poem. It contains a volta, which is a turn in the poem where the speaker makes his point. He says by heaven, which is an oath, like he is swearing to God, and this is proving that he's been very honest and sincere in what he says next. He says, I think my love is rare as any she belied with false compare. The word rare indicates that he sees his lover as hard to find, valuable and special, almost like a treasure or a diamond. Belied means misrepresented, so here he is referring to the other poets that have described their lovers in ways that are way too exaggerated to be true. If we had to read the sentence again in English that is easier to understand, it would be, he is saying that he swears he loves his lover as much as any of the women who have been exaggerated and described with these false comparisons by other poets. This is a very effective rhyming couplet because it is emphasizing the fact that he doesn't need her to look a specific way, but he loves her for who she is, and she is such a beautiful person inside that it doesn't even matter how she looks on the outside, and that is a true, powerful love. He is also recognizing the shortcomings of his mistress, or not even shortcomings, but just the reality of his mistress, unlike the other poets, and the fact that he can recognize these and still be in love with her is very powerful. It is also mocking other poets because he calls their poetry misrepresentations and lies. This is indicated by the words false compare and belied. We are done. I hope that you really enjoyed that video and that you have a better understanding of the poem now. Please will you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on my other social media platforms, and also just comment any additional questions that you have below or any analysis that I may have forgotten. Also comment what video you would like next.